Evening peeps, good evening everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. All right, let's just jump straight to the big news. It's been widely reported, I think Boxing Scene were the first to report it, that Jermaine Franklin is done. April 1st, O2 Arena, live on DAZN pay-per-view. DAZN's first pay-per-view event in the UK. It was obviously supposed to be Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Nothing officially announced yet by Matchroom or DAZN, but everyone is tweeting this. I think I saw IFL TV tweet something, ID Boxing, Boxing Social. So I think it's fair to say that this is fact. April 1st, O2 Arena, it will be AJ making his comeback of sorts against Jermaine Franklin, who we saw last time in the ring against Dillian Whyte. Now, I have looked at some of the response to this news, especially on social media, and a lot of people are upset that it's pay-per-view. AJ's a pay-per-view fighter, people. It was always going to be on pay-per-view. There are about, I think, 5 or 6 fighters who, regardless of who they fight, it will be pay-per-view nowadays. Canelo being one of them. AJ, I think Fury falls into that bracket now. Gervonta Davis falls into that bracket. Errol Spence. These guys are just pay-per-view fighters. Let's hope that it's a good card, right? I mean, look, I'm kind of with you in terms of this being a pay-per-view fight. No, let's hope though that they give us a pay-per-view card and it's a big one, especially considering that we've not seen AJ at the O2 Arena for a very long time. I can't think of the last time he was there. It's been Wembley Stadium, it's been the Middle East, it's been America, Tottenham Stadium. It's been a while since we've seen AJ at the O2 Arena, and he's done good there. So hopefully it brings him a bit of luck. With regards to the actual fight itself, I know a lot of people are split on it. I will say this about it. You know, I think the big reason as to why people are split on it, well, there's a number of reasons. Number one, Jermaine Franklin's coming off a loss, right? We saw him against Dillian Whyte. Some might think he won, but the record books say he lost. So I guess there's that. Maybe some people think AJ's gone too far down or too far backwards. There's a bit of that. But I think one of the biggest ones is that when we were thinking about who AJ was going to fight next, I don't think anyone thought of Jermaine Franklin. So when a name just comes from nowhere, you're like, huh? And that's kind of been my take on it. Like, I didn't even think of Jermaine Franklin. I thought of Otto Volin. I thought of Dillian Whyte. I thought of Hergovich. I thought of Zhili Zhang. I didn't think Jermaine Franklin. Honestly, I didn't at all. I did say this on a video I did 3-4 days ago, that AJ is coming off back-to-back defeats. He's lost 3 of his last 5 fights. The term rebuild has been used a lot with regards to AJ's sort of next 12 months. And look, ultimately, I don't just think this was an AJ decision. This was a collective decision. This could have been Derek James involved in this, his new trainer, in terms of, okay, what kind of fight do we want first? It would have been AJ as well. It would have been potentially Eddie. It would have been people behind the scene, Freddie Cunningham, KD. It would have been a collective decision to fight a Jermaine Franklin. So, look, it's there. It's happening. Let's see how AJ looks. Let's see how he gets on. I've said, and I'm going to stick to it, I think AJ blast him out. I think AJ gets a good few rounds, but having watched Jermaine Franklin recently up close, remember I was doing that fight for DAZN, him versus Dillian Whyte, and having watched AJ really up close, I was ringside for AJ Usyk. If the AJ that fought Usyk turns up to fight Jermaine Franklin and there's been no change, AJ destroys him. That's my own take, and I think AJ destroys him. And hopefully then the confidence levels go straight back up and it's a big fight in the summer. I know a few of you, I've seen sort of a few comments on my videos, a few of you think that Jermaine Franklin can cause him problems. Look, heavyweight boxing, I think we were surprised by his performance against Dillian Whyte. It could have been a case of Dillian Whyte was just so bad, but it also could be a case on the flip side that Jermaine Franklin was a bit better than we expected. My take on this, and I guess the reason why from the get-go I was like, no, not Jermaine Franklin, is because, like, again, I was there for AJ Usyk. I actually thought AJ done well. So all this talk of rebuild, for me, there is no rebuild. I mean, maybe mentally, right, because of where we think AJ is. No one knows what's going on inside his head apart from him, but maybe mentally. But in terms of physically, in terms of boxing ability, I don't think the rebuild is as big as we're making it to be. Usyk's just a very, very good fighter, awkward fighter for AJ, southpaw, very skilled, fast. That's a problem for Anthony Joshua. I think maybe we're making too much of that defeat. I think, you know what, I think that defeat will look a lot better in 3 months when Usyk fights Fury. I'm not saying Usyk will beat Fury, but I think Usyk's going to cause Fury so many problems that I think people will be like, oh, okay, cool. Wow. Do you know what I mean? But for now, because Usyk hasn't beaten anyone of note in the heavyweight division apart from AJ, unless you give Chisora stock, I think maybe people are reacting to those back-to-back defeats a bit too strong. So when I see AJ fighting a Jermaine Franklin, who's a guy floating around the top 20, I think AJ's better than this. But let's hope AJ proves he's better than this. Because I think we saw on the weekend, didn't we, with Joseph Parker, Jack Massey. Obviously, Parker's defeat was a lot worse coming off that Joe Joyce fight. But I think we all expected Joseph Parker to blow away Jack Massey, and he didn't. And then in the end, it looks like, well, that was a bad performance. So I hope that AJ, come midnight April 1st, we're not looking at thinking, not sure. I don't think we will be. I think AJ is going to run through him like a hot knife through butter, and then we'll move on for AJ to take on the winner of what I think would be Otto Wallin versus Dillian Whyte. But look, what's your take on it? Can you understand the reasonings as to why he's taken a Jermaine Franklin fight? Do you feel like there needs to be a rebuild as well? Again, this is a guy that's lost back-to-back fights. Look, that's big, by the way. Losing back-to-back fights, you lose your third fight, there's a big problem. Not just a big problem for AJ, but obviously AJ signed this big money deal with DAZN. There's an asset there that they almost need to take care of. So you can understand why they are going down this route. But do you think this is a step down too far? Or, like some people, again, I spoke to Gareth A. Davis, I've spoken to other people in boxing, they're like, no, this is fine. This is okay. I mean, this is a guy that clearly needs a W. He needs it against someone that the British public know. Again, Jermaine Franklin ticks that box. And we're just good to see him out again. We are. And I'm very, very excited to see how he looks under Derek James. I've always said this, it does take a while to get in sync with a new trainer. But AJ did go out there last year and hit pads and do all sorts with Derek James. So it's a new relationship, but it's not like he's just knocked on the door. He understands what Derek James is about. So hopefully we get to see some improvements quickly. I will say this. I thought we saw a different type of AJ against Usyk under Robert Garcia. I really did. So I think AJ is a student of the game, and I think he'll pick up instructions very, very quickly. But in rounding off, I think this was a collective decision to fight Jermaine Franklin. I think this was everyone around the table and everyone agreed. What were the other options? I think people would have been livid if it was Dempsey McKean, just because people don't really know who he is. At least there is a bit of, okay, we know who Jermaine Franklin is. I think people would have probably been a bit more excited about Otto Wallin, but I think Otto Wallin and Jermaine Franklin are like that. I don't see much difference. I really don't. So look, we'll see what happens. April 1st, O2 Arena. I heard that there's going to be, I think that channel, that Twitter page, Everything Boxing, tweeted something along the lines of there's going to be a press conference in a couple of weeks' time, in and around the same time of the Alicia Baumgardner, Amanda Serrano fight. So there's going to be a press conference in New York. Then there's going to be a press conference in the UK. So yeah, boy, it's all systems go for AJ's return. Again, the rebuild, not that he needs it, of Anthony Joshua starts now. And I hope it's 3 fights this year. We'll end on this very quickly. I saw Deontay Wilder say something along the lines of, AJ doesn't want to fight me. He's scared. And I think a few people have jumped on this. Let's not forget when Deontay Wilder, Eddie Hearn removed himself from the equation because he has no relationship or with Deontay Wilder's team, and it was causing some problems. Deontay Wilder sat down with, at the time, John Skipper, who was obviously head of DAZN boxing, or head of some title anyway. And they offered him the fight. And he said no, he wants to go down the Dominic Breazeale and Tyson Fury route. So it's been there for him. Sometimes it's just about timing. I still think we're going to get AJ Wilder. It's just a case of it needs to work, needs to make sense. Right now, what AJ is, doesn't make sense. Wilder coming off that fantastic win, it doesn't make sense. In the summer, potentially it does. Peace.